Hey everyone, it's Skullcat here. If you don't know who I am, I'm pretty new to Feral. I started playing last season, swapped off of Warrior. I got title last season, my first season keying as Feral, and I've just stuck with it ever since. And I do like doing the most amount of damage possible, so today I'm going to help you out with that. Now, I'm going to give you guys a few pointers, the most important things to track, as well as an opener at the beginning of the video. Before we get started with anything, I want to go over some talents that you need to be running. This is the standard Mythic Plus talent build that you want to be running. Um, Now, Adaptive Swarm is recommended, definitely, in my opinion, because it gives you 25% dot damage on all your dots, and that's what Feral's kind of playing around. But if you'd like to, this is also viable. If you want to run one town in CI instead of Unbridled Swarm, because bees can be kind of annoying to track. Or you can run double SI if you don't want to track bees at all, which I do not recommend, but it is an option. And then between Tireless Energy and Merciless Claws. Merciless Claws does more damage in AoE scenarios. I think maybe some single target scenarios too. It just depends. But if you are ever having energy problems, I would definitely recommend trying 1 point into Tireless Energy. So first, obviously, you want to start in Stealth. This is if you don't pre-stack bees, like pre-dungeon, like pre-pull before the key goes in. You're gonna open up with a Stealth Rake, into Swarm, into Thrash, into Brutal Slash, into all cooldowns, Primal Wrath, Brutal Slash Ravage, and then you go into Convoke here. Into another Primal Wrath, Brutal Slash Ravage, Brutal Slash Ravage, Brutal Slash Ravage. And you literally just repeat this process until your Berserk is over. And then you want to obviously go back into another Primal Wrath. This is the next part of the video that I'm going to cover. It's going to be the most important things that you need to be tracking count of in keys. You want to be tracking at all times your blood talons, which are in my weak cord right here. They give you 25% increased damage on your next finishing move, and they are just so important when you're outside of Berserk, on bosses, etc., etc. I wouldn't really prioritize them too much unless you're at the beginning of your Berserk, like I showed in the opener. So yeah, Blood Talons for sure, like number one. Number two, in my opinion, would be it's like dungeon dependent, very dungeon dependent. For my number two most important thing to be tracking inside of dungeons and keys and just all content of Feral is going to probably be Adaptive Swarm. Adaptive Swarm is so important because it gives you 25% dot damage on any mob that it's on. So if you have a stack of this on any of these mobs, they're going to take 25% increased damage from your Thrash, your Rake, your Rip, like everything. I'm pretty sure even your Ravage, like Dreadful Wounds, takes 25% more. But they're just so important. You need to be tracking them on your nameplates. You should have a mouseover. They're absolutely insane. You will notice such a big difference when you start tracking these. A third most important thing that you want to do for Mythic Plus is definitely going to be Rake. Now, if you notice around these nameplates, they have a red outline. This is mobs that do not have Rake on them, and I recommend you track these because the damage difference is so big. It's actually crazy. You will notice it within your first dungeon. I can drop this in the link in the description of this video that I'm making, just for you guys to put in your Plater plugins and try it out for yourself. But this is only when you're outside of Berserk. When you're in Berserk, obviously you want to get as many Ravages as you can, but outside of Berserk, you want to be just raking as much mobs as you can. In big pools like Arakara, I wouldn't worry about it too much. Just try to like rake the big spiders, but you definitely want to have a rake mouseover, which I will also leave in the description. Um, but I mean, rake is just so important, honestly, that you will notice a substantial difference. Now, the fourth thing I want to go over with you guys is actually Brutal Slash. Now, Brutal Slash is what you're going to be pressing in Berserk, as I covered in the opener, the most to get Ravage procs. But outside of Berserk, you also want to press this thing on cooldown as much as you can. Obviously, outside of getting Blood Talons, you want to just be pressing this, even in single target. Now, if you notice here, my Shred hits for 299 non-crit, my Brutal Slash, let's see again, hits for 346, and that's single target. Your Brutal Slash is going to hit even higher than Shred in single target unless you have a sudden ambush proc, but you usually send those on rakes. So one last thing that I wanted to go over, and that is thrash, because I see a lot of people questioning when you're supposed to be using thrash, like when do I press thrash, all these types of things. So there's only like a few scenarios where I actually press thrash, and I'm gonna give you that example right now. All right, the first scenario of spinning thrash is going to be your opener, which you do the same every single time, single target, AoE, does not matter. You send a thrash right after Rake, and that is final. Now, another example of spinning thrash is going to be when you get clear casting procs. You want to prio, obviously you want to prio Brutal Slash over thrash unless it's running out. So let's say you get a clear casting proc, it's running out, obviously send it on thrash. But if if your thrash is not out and you have a clear casting proc, you always want to send on Brutal Slash. If you're in Berserk and you have um, no Brutal Slash charges left yet, you want to send a thrash to build up that rabbit again. If you were ever energy starved, let's say you're down to like 40, not 40, below 40 energy, you never ever ever want to send a thrash. Like let's see, like right here. You'd never want to thrash here because it costs so much. You'd literally just press anything else. Thrash uptime is not that big of a deal. You want to try to keep it up as much as possible, but if not, it's not the end of the world. I appreciate you guys so much for clicking on this video. This is the first YouTube video I've actually done for like a guide type thing. Usually I just clip my Mythic Plus keys from my stream and just put music on and just post, but I haven't seen many like top tier ferals posting anything, so I just wanted to do a quick little guide for you guys, and I appreciate you guys so much for clicking. If you guys have any other questions or comments, please leave them down below. I will definitely get back to those. And yeah, I just appreciate you guys so much for even taking the time to click on this video. Thanks. Skullcat out.